So we're getting ready and getting close to beginning here. This is our first live webinar, so I'm super excited. And we have some awesomeness that we're going to talk about and show today. And we're going to create a series of these webinars because to me, I'm all about giving back and making sure that photographers can have as much information as possible out there. And I think a lot of times, we all want to know how to do things, how to light things, how to maximize our business, what's hot in 2020, all those things. And oftentimes, for us, we, as photographers, it's kind of a secret. Like everybody is essentially trying to figure this out. And a lot of times the most successful photographers, they're not sharing this information. So today is going to be the start of our epic webinar series where I'm going to share with you all kinds of insider secret information on how to maximize yourself as a photographer in this business, as well as the video production industry as well. All right, guys. So I would love to begin. I think it's just about to start here. We had about 183 people register, so hopefully some more people join. Looks like right now we've got like 21 participants. So hopefully we can get the rest of them. All right. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to first of all introduce myself and tell you guys all about the presenter, myself. So my name is Kevin Michael Schmitz. I'm a celebrity fashion advertising photographer. I'm also the executive producer, director, and host of the TV show Great Escapes that airs on the CW and on NBC. Now, I have had the opportunity to shoot for major brands such as Pepsi, Zara, Levi's, ad campaigns for Miller Lite, Coors Light, and I've been able to shoot about 175 magazine editorials, and I've been able to shoot all over the world. Some incredible productions. I've had just an amazing career that I feel very, very fortunate for. Now, about 10 years ago, I launched the photography workshop series. And because I did my bachelor's and my MFA to be a professor of photography, I realized that walking out of art school, walking out of photography school, which many of you guys have, it just teaches you the theoretical aspects of image making, to be able to be a creator, be able to have engage in the discourse on photography. But what I realized is that a lot of people that come out of photography school, they're not really truly prepared for the business of photography. And many of you that came up the old-fashioned way, assisting or interning under major photographers or just trying to hustle along the way, it's kind of a challenge, because without that world-class, incredible body of work with top-tier models, massive scale production, it's really hard to really break through and to become a world-class top photographer, even if you're in a smaller market. So about 10 years ago, I launched the photography workshop series, and it's specifically designed by photographers that really, for photographers that really want to take their photography to the next level. We're all about empowering photographers, giving them the opportunity to photograph some of the greatest images they've ever shot in their lifetime. And also to learn from incredible people in the industry. We bring in panelists from major advertising agencies, executive creative directors that hire photographers on $175,000 ad campaigns, to major photo editors from like Cosmopolitan or Flaunt magazine, major magazines, to publish photographers and work with them on editorial stories. We also bring in not only the art buyers, ad agencies, and creative directors and photo editors, but also photography agents that represent photographers, that represent the top 1/1000th of 1% of photographers, which if you become represented by an agent, it kind of catapults you to that next level. And our panelists that you guys are going to meet on here today, Adam Friedman and Chad Chisholm, they're a couple of our past attendees of the workshop, and they're world-class, amazing commercial photographers. And right now, they're in the process of working on obtaining representation as well. Now, I've been blessed. I've been repped by 4 different agents in my career. Most recently, I was with JP Reps, George Perez Reps out of Los Angeles for about 3 years. And I stepped away to be able to essentially get more involved in the TV industry and not essentially have my rep take 25% cut of all my TV productions. And that's why I kind of went independent for the time being. But it has really helped me in my career, and has helped me kind of catapult to that next echelon once I become represented. I have been a rep by AA reps in New York, and then I've been with 3 different agents here in Los Angeles. And I recommend, if that is an option and it's something that you guys want to be able to achieve, it's definitely something that myself as well as my staff of photographic consultants can help get you there, to help get you represented by an agent. So now I believe what I would like to really talk about is what's hot in 2020. What's going on right now in the photographic industry? Now, for me, I have to keep my fingers at the pulse of the industry, because the industry is changing all of the time. And if you're not in a major market, if you're in a small area like like you're out in Michigan or Iowa or Alabama or something, it's kind of hard, because the industry doesn't change that much in those areas, especially if you're into consumer photography and you don't really have a lot of opportunity and a lot to kind of see what's hot, because you're not dialed in to the height of the industry in New York or LA. But I'm fortunate here. I'm in Los Angeles. I shoot in New York all the time. And I'm able to track kind of what's happening and what's hot. And it's something that I'm constantly researching. So what I've found is what's really big right now in photography is lifestyle. Now, hopefully, I would love to know if any of you guys out there are into lifestyle photography, because in fact, I'm going to actually put out a poll here to find out essentially what you guys actually do as far as what you guys want to achieve in your photography. Now, I want to find out essentially what it is that you want to gain. Do you want to get a better portfolio? Do you want to make more money per photo shoot? Do you want to book more photo shoots? Do you want to get in front of more clients? Because we need to figure out essentially what it is that you want to do, so I can kind of talk to you specifically about what's hot in 2020 in each aspect of the industry. So, okay, it looks like the live results are coming in. You guys are kind of all saying about the same things. A lot of you guys want to develop a stronger portfolio. It looks like about 37% say that. About half of you want to make more money per photo shoot. And then also half of you want to book more shoots and get in front of more clients. So you guys are kind of all over the board on that. And it sounds like you all want to achieve, essentially make more money, booking more shoots. And I totally get that. So if we're going to be trying to book more shoots, and what I recommend is not trying to work and trying to shoot as much as possible, but not earn as much per shoot. I recommend to be able to try to shoot for the projects that are going to land you more money, and you shoot less, make more. Our panelists here, they can attest to that. Adam Friedman is a commercial photographer who he's shooting. Adam, what are you shooting, like 30 to 50 advertising jobs a month?
Yeah, 40 to 50.
40 to 50 advertising jobs a month. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And Adam, you must be absolutely crushing it. But one of the things that you and I have talked about, Adam, is that let's try to shoot less, make more per shoot. So instead of 40 to 50 advertising jobs a month, making smaller amounts of money, what if we can make those into the $150,000, $175,000 per production?
Exactly.
Exactly. And you've got
exactly.
Adam, you've got the body of work now to be able to achieve that. You've attended 4 of our epic workshops, 2 in New York. I think you did one in Newport Beach, 1 in Dallas, and the content you've created has catapulted you into that industry, into the highest level. And it's already booked you a lot of work, but I'm really looking for, Adam, what we can do with you to make sure that we can start to catapult to the higher budget productions. Go ahead, Adam.
It's why when I met Kevin, what we worked on was getting the whole program from shooting as much as I was shooting for very little money, and not little money. It's very good income, but it's a lot of work. And at the end of the day, it leaves you drained. To getting to work on the projects that I've always wanted to work on and love working on, just never got enough of. Not enough that would keep you sustainable in the industry. So it was a complete paradigm shift for me in the way that I looked at the industry, viewed the industry, found out about what I needed in a portfolio to get people to notice me. I mean, I hear photographers all the time say, "How do I get noticed?" Or "Man, I've done all this work and nobody's noticing me." So it went beyond just the body of work, but how to get the photographic currency to get myself in front of the kind of people that make decisions and that will hire you. And learning about what I needed to have. Sorry, that popped up right in front of me for a second ago. I lost view for a second. What I needed to have in my book so that the people would look at me and go, yeah, this person, we trust them. You know, when you're talking to a company like a Levi's or a Pepsi or a Zara, they're not trusting you with their $7,500 or $15,000 or $25,000 website update or you know, shooting a doctor's office that's going to pay you $20,000 to do some videos and some photos for them. If you mess it up, you mess it up, but really it's kind of hard to mess up. When you're talking to a company like Levi's and they're like, "Hey, we're going to trust you with $500,000. Why would we trust you?" And that's a lot of what I ran into, is to build that credibility. And when I had my own body of work looked at, and you do invest a lot in going and talking to these people and meeting with agencies, even the ones that don't sign you, that's invested time. And I got the same feedback all the time. Your work is amazing. Your lighting is spectacular. You don't have enough doubles and triples. You don't have enough lifestyle. Lifestyle is where it's at. Show us that you can produce a lifestyle shoot, not one, but a body of work that's consistent, and then we'll trust you with these kind of campaigns.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and do you feel like you're able to achieve that this last year?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things when you and I spoke, when we first talked on the phone, was beyond just wanting to go and shoot the doubles and triples I needed for my portfolio, was to be very involved in the producing and in the directing of those same portfolios, you know, of the actual work, and being able to get in front of the whole production process, how to direct these kind of shoots, not just shoot them, but actually be the one in charge of the direction. And beyond that, it was looking for an economical way to do it. These shoots, the one that you just put up, Kevin, I mean, if I had shot that by myself, that's a 50 to 60, maybe $100,000 production. And to come out of the pocket with that kind of money, that's not something I can afford to do. I mean, just write a check for $100,000 to go out and produce something, hoping that somebody's going to want it and buy it. And by the way, this is something that is going into a magazine. But the way that you and I talked, and why I love the photography workshop series so much, is it's a way to break up the cost with people that are like-minded, other people that are focused on their careers and want to get to that next level, love photography, but also want to produce, want to direct, want to move to that upper echelon, get agency represented, and want to build the same kind of body of work. So it's really an ability to cost share a lot of this material and do it in an affordable way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I've found, Adam, is you know, what you mentioned, what's hot right now is having scenes with multiple models, having it more of a dynamic scene. I think that's really hot right now. Why don't you talk to me a little bit more about that and why you thought it was important, and I see that you've achieved it.
Yeah, multi-model is everything. Lifestyle and multi-model is everything. And you hear people say, "Oh, I want to shoot the cover of Vogue," and it's got one person in it, and that's a $750 job. That's what they pay you extra to shoot that cover. So really, where the money is in your pharmaceuticals, in your lifestyle campaigns, in anything to do with, you look at the bulk of the population. The bulk of the population is over the age of 50. And pharmaceutical is hot right now, and they have money. Banking industries have money. I teach lighting and photography. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And one of the questions I get all the time is not just about what's hot, or I'll ask the question, who do you want to shoot for? And that would have been a great poll question. Who do you want to shoot for? And to a person, people say, I want to shoot for Vogue. Personally, I'd rather shoot for Target, Walmart, AARP, companies that have tons of money, that are looking to hire photographers, videographers, producers, directors. And that's funny. I like that. I just saw this survey pop up. So that's one of the biggest things, is that right now lifestyle is everything. And where I was weakest was I had an entire body of work with one model in it. And it was amazing work, but very little multi-model, very little stuff that I could go to Pfizer with and say, I want to shoot the next, campaign with a 6-year-old man and a 6-year-old woman walking hand in hand down the beach with their grandkids out in front or in tow behind them. I had nothing like that in my portfolio. And I didn't have things that would get those kind of companies to trust me with their multi-million-dollar or hundreds of thousands of dollars in the campaign. And I say multi-million-dollar because not only does the campaign maybe cost $500,000 or $150,000 to shoot, but then they're going to go out and they're going to make a media buy with it and spend millions of dollars putting what you just shot out to the public. So, and I know that's jumping ahead and getting into a whole lot of other stuff, but they're trusting you with literally the future of their company when they hire you. And I needed a body of work that showed that they should trust me and why they should trust me. And I got hammered. I met with some of the biggest agents in the country who I got the same compliment for the quality of my work and got hammered on the fact that it was all single model and not enough multi-model. So what I've really focused on, and Kevin has been not just a friend and a mentor, but somebody who really has spent the time in helping me develop like I said, I use the word, and I stole this photographic currency. You'll know who I stole it from, to build my own photographic currency, so that I can go out and meet with these people. And the response has been tremendous. I'm actually down in Miami right now. I've been here for the last couple of weeks. I probably won't be back in the DC area for a good long time right now. I've got meetings all this week with agencies and clients. I've got 5 campaigns I'm shooting down here over the next 10 days.
Congratulations, Adam.
Thanks, brother.
5 campaigns. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're all swimwear and lifestyle campaigns. And I'll tell you, I sold all these on the fact that these are companies that hired me in the past to shoot single model. And when I went and approached them, I'm like, guys, let's change this up, man. Let's get a whole new look. And that's one of the biggest things that's really helped me out, is building the confidence to be able to go to big clients and say things to them like, hey, I have an idea. Let me pitch you on an idea, instead of them coming to me and saying, hey, we want to hire you for a job. Here's our idea. I've been going to them and saying, hey, I have an idea. Let me pitch you on this. And they're all been open and receptive to it.
Excellent. Excellent. Awesome. Well, I'd love to hear that, Adam. And it's amazing how successful you've become, especially in the last year, and how the imagery that you're able to shoot at these workshops has really catapulted you.
But one of the biggest things was what we did at the masterclass when you let me participate and help with producing the first day of it. And those images, I don't know if you have them up on a screen, those images put me in top 10 for top 10 fashion photographers worldwide in One Island this year.
My gosh.
And those images, I had 4 images in the One Island Awards this year. And those are, for people who don't know what One Island is a top industry evaluation, I don't know how you want to put it, award process. And if you get in, you're submitted to the top few thousand ad agencies, ad executives, people who hire photographers and videographers. Your work gets put right in front of them. I was in top 10 for fashion. This year, I think the winner for fashion was Joe McNally. And I congratulate him. Man, people know who he is. So to give you an idea of the kind of competition you're in there with, and for that work to be looked at and put in to the same category with the top 10 fashion photographers in the world, I'm pretty proud of that.
I am too, man. And I can't believe you're able to shoot that at the workshop, the masterclass,
Yep.
Be able to win that award. I mean, of
Yep.
course, it helps when you get to shoot with models like Velena, who's been in Vogue. We had the wardrobe stylist, Laura Duncan, who styles for Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and she was Britney Spears' stylist for the last 15 years. And then we had the creative director from L'Oreal doing hair that just knocked it out of the park. And
Oh
the
yeah.
production was just out of this world out at Weese's Pieces. Their Elite
Yeah,
Master
it was
Class.
mind blowing.
Yeah, it's the most epic workshop we do at the end of the year. So I want to get back to what's hot in photography in 2020, because for us, a lot of you guys, you want to figure it out. Okay, what's hot? What's hot in consumer photography? As far as a lot of photographers here, they're into portraiture and weddings. What's hot in fashion and lifestyle? Well, I have to say, across the board, definitely lifestyle has taken hold. Now, when I say lifestyle, it's kind of a broad terminology of what lifestyle really is. But essentially, it's happy, healthy people having fun, enjoying life. And if you take a look, I mean, you can kind of see some of the lifestyle body of work that I have here. And this is what I show to my clientele. But essentially, we're looking for images with heavy, heavy impact. I want to have images that are going to completely pop off the page, and it's going to make the viewer get excited about the product, the experience, whatever it is we're trying to sell. It's all about the experience and the feeling, the emotion. I want to create scenes in which I feel like, as the viewer, I'm inside of the scene with the viewer. So the way in which I art direct and I storyboard these scenes, I create a story, I art direct, I even have a storyboard artist sometimes sketch it out. I compose the scene. I cast world-class top models. These are models from the top modeling agencies here in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Miami, wherever we do these productions. And I'm able to get models that can really move, models with energy, with smiles, with feeling. They're more actresses even than models, not just some gaunt fashion model, but models that actually can move and have action. And then I'm going to coach them. I'm going to coach them into a scene in which they're going to completely be energized and actually create a scenario, like something fun like this champagne fight. This is so slice of life. And this right now is so hot, and partly because of social media, Instagram, Facebook, all the social that's going on. A lot of times it's caught in the moments in people's lives. So a lot of our advertising is now reflecting that. And going into 2020, I'm seeing all Fortune 500 companies in America and around the world really embracing this lifestyle feel. Now, a lot of it is very naturally lit. It's not overlit with strobes. It's lit where it's all about natural light, manipulation of natural light with giant scrims and bounces. And it gets to the point in which you can create a scene, and then with the natural light will bounce through the entire scene rather than have to strobe it, have to stop, have to have the models more stationary. It makes it so that it's a much more natural and organic process. And this is something that is very, very hard to do it right. But it's something that I actually specialize in, is high-end slice of life advertising photography. And it's something that at all of our upcoming workshops throughout the year, almost every single workshop we do a lifestyle section of it, because to me, that's really vital right now for that body of work. And I know both Chad as well as Adam, you guys have taken heavy lifestyle workshops with us, and the body of work you've created is just absolutely stunning. And Chad Chisholm, he's an amazing photographer who, now Chad, you were a wedding and portrait photographer, and you came to me and wanted to transition into doing, and you also do food and you do beverage and you do hospitality. But I know with you really wanted to take it to the next level in lifestyle and be able to shoot lifestyle campaigns, like large budget lifestyle campaigns, and also incorporate that lifestyle into hospitality and shooting with major hotel chains and stuff like that too. So you came to the Dallas workshop, you came to Newport Beach, you came to Miami, and look at this body of work. This is incredible, Chad. I am so proud of you because these scenes are dynamic, they're impactful, and there's a lot of storytelling. So tell me about that process of transitioning from consumer photography into commercial photography.
Yeah, and as you were alluding to, Kevin, so I became a Hyatt and Hilton approved photographer, and then a lot of our clients are all over the place, like Paradis Le Jardin, which does a lot of the food and beverage in airports across the nation. And then we were doing a lot of, jack of all trades, master of none, and to kind of take that shotgun approach and get it down to sniper fire. And we were getting a lot from our hospitality clients that they wanted to see that lifestyle aspect and element, not just the resort or the hotel, but people interacting with that space, enjoying that space. And that's when these types of images became very, very valuable for us. And through the workshop series, kind of getting to learn how to do a lot of that stuff, but also the caliber of talent, as Adam was referring to, definitely helped us transition from shooting all these weddings and headshots and, you know, some of the smaller, littler things that were more regional, and then moving our way up to national campaigns and dealing with the people who are making the advertising decisions.
Excellent. And Chad, you and I, not only did you take these epic workshops and develop the greatest images of your lifetime that are on a whole nother planet from everything you shot before. I mean, this imagery right here, this is like straight out of, you know, Vanity Fair. This image, for instance, it's right here on the screen. I am like wowed by you. You did this at the Miami Beach workshop in April. Now, Chad, you also did a one-on-one workshop with me last week at the Ritz-Carlton in Los Angeles. And we were specifically talking about maximizing the budgets, being able to kind of take the, you know, the opportunity to the next level. And you were doing weddings, and then now you're landing $30,000 and $35,000 advertising jobs over and over again. Talk about that, and you know, what the great aspect of being able to land those kind of opportunities, and then maybe some of the challenges or negatives that you've run into with, you know, being able to squeeze out as much money out of them as possible.
Sure. Yeah. So I've booked 3 $35,000 campaigns with large companies since taking the workshop series, and with the one-on-one. And I'm excited because I'm going to be finessing all of the materials here that you're seeing now. Kevin and I got to go through my entire body of work and really narrow down the pieces that were top of the top. And the portfolios are only as strong as the weakest image. So getting those weak images out of there has really helped as well. And so I'm excited to get to go through the website and the materials. And Kevin and I sat down and looked at how I was putting together my estimates, how I was putting together my proposals. And we actually went through one of my proposals that I just shot a couple months ago. So we already finished it. They already paid. It's already done. But we went back through and went through line by line, things that I didn't know. And we still stayed under budget for the client, and I would have doubled what went into my pocket at the end of the day. So things like that are invaluable, not only for the case-by-case shoots, but think of my entire career moving forward, how that's going to change everything drastically. So it went for me going, not to go back too far, but for me going and shooting about 240 events, portraits, headshots a year. Last year I did 114, and the upcoming year we're looking to narrow it down even further. So yeah, it's been a really interesting shift in my career for sure.
Excellent. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit, Chad, because you mentioned, like, you know, this job specifically, the one that you and I went over, is a $29,000 job. It was like a hospitality a branding campaign. And, you know, one of the challenges you ran into was it's a $29,000 budget, but you walked away with only like $5,000. Yep. So when we went through and we made some adjustments to the budget line by line in that campaign, you know, I'm really happy you're able to book that big campaign based on the images you shot at the workshop. But you're only, you know, walking with $5,000. And when we went through it line by line, we came out with 17,500 was how much profit you would walk away from. And it was like just some really simple things, some little tweaks that make all the difference in the world. And that's something that, you know, that we at the Photography Workshop Series, myself, as well as my photographic consultants, Reza, John, Ivan, that are going to be offering some, at the end of this webinar, we're going to be offering free 30-minute photographic consults with a professional photographic consultant to kind of talk about your strategy plan going forward for 2020. We're offering it to the first 30 photographers that want to sign up. And we definitely recommend you do that, because it's going to be super important that you guys really revamp and really kind of see what's, you know, what your vision is for 2020, and be able to kind of maximize profitability within budgets, just like I did with Chad, finding little nuances within the budget and how to maximize profits, which, by the way, that's something, if you guys want to learn more about, we can do that at one of our future webinars, talk specifically line by line on bidding on advertising campaigns and how to maximize budgets, how to walk away with more profitability at the end of the day. So if that's something you guys find interesting, let me know.
What surprised
Also,
me most about that, Kevin, before you move on, was that I've been doing this professionally since 2005, and to go through line by line and to make our proposal and estimate do what it did for my business, and not to the detriment or seeming greedy or whatnot to the client, that was so helpful. And it kind of helped polish my company as well, and just kind of refined the vision a bit while doubling, tripling profits. So just for anyone who's interested in that sort of thing, I think that I thought I knew what I was doing. And I think that just kind of going through and tweaking and having someone who's a little further away from your company that you're so close to take a look at it was invaluable.
excellent. Thank you, Chad. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait, because I can guarantee you all are going to be making double the amount of profit this year, if not more, just based on those small tweaks. And based this morning, you and I were already emailing back and forth. You have all these new advertising campaign opportunities for both photographic and potential video production that that we've been communicating about, and coordinating with meetings and setting up so we can bid on these campaigns, which sounds fantastic.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, I'm super excited about that. I'd love for you guys to to tell me, and I want to hear some questions from the audience. So feel free on the chat to go ahead and to ask some questions on the chat here. Post some questions. You can also, I believe, you can like raise a hand in here, and I'd love to answer them live. I'd love to talk with you guys personally, because for me, the reason I've done this for so many years is I'd love to be there to mentor photographers and filmmakers. It's so important to me that you guys get everything you possibly need to make sure that we can achieve success. I want to make sure that photographers, and even though, we've been doing these workshops, we've directed 120 of these elite workshops over the years, and the photography workshop series is by far the most high-end and elite photographic workshop in the world. Nothing even comes close. But I don't want people to just come and attend a workshop and that's it, and they take off. I want to make sure that you're going to come out, take a workshop, shoot the greatest images of your lifetime, be able to catapult yourself to the next level based upon building your photographic currency, which is what Adam mentioned, where essentially you're shooting images with world-class top models, world-class top stylists, epic locations, images that are, in that realm of $60,000 to $100,000 a day production level. And that's what we, of course, have at the workshops, which is incredible. But most importantly, is I want you to then take that going forward to the next level. So I want to see you go out and actually make the effort, make the actions to book these jobs, just like Chad's doing, just like Adam's doing. They're booked all the time. They're busy photographers. And I want you guys to reach that level of success, all of you. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to coach you and mentor you and make sure that we can achieve that. Now,
Looks like we got a question from Maurice.
All right. Is it Maurice from Michigan? By the way, Michigan is actually where I'm from. By the way, Maurice, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan originally. Maurice, is it difficult to get 2 or more models to work together? Great question. Now, Maurice, getting them to work together, I would say, it's easy to book multiple models. I book them from modeling agencies, and I might, have 4 or 5 models in the same scene, no problem. But the challenge is when you're actually art directing them and directing them into a scenario. Now, what I often do is kind of like a little secret, is I like to kind of choose which model has the strongest presence. Usually it's going to be the best look. It's going to be the best personality. And usually you're going to have one that's going to be a superstar. And maybe some of the other ones are going to be maybe a little softer or a little weaker, or maybe not as big of a personality. So I want to make sure that I'm going to make essentially my primary model, and then I'm going to have my auxiliary models. The primary models are going to be the models that are going to be really evoking and being the star of the show. And it's going to be all about them. It's going to be all about that action. The auxiliary models are going to be there to support them. So oftentimes, you'll notice in a lot of our work, we shoot a lot of imagery with photographs of females and male models. Oftentimes the male models are just auxiliary. They're just kind of there. They're just kind of like, there as kind of a showpiece. They're there to kind of like show a scenario with like 2 girls and a guy or 3 girls and a guy, just to kind of show some group scenes, which I love. but I want to make sure that I try to pick out one female model and I try to coach them. Generally, professional models, especially the ones we work with from modeling agencies like Wilhelmina, Elite, Ford Models, Bounty, like major modeling agencies, some of the top in the world, they're professionals. So they're used to working with other models and they're happy to do it. The key is getting them energized, excited. I have music going. I'm coaching them. I'm just getting them completely amped. I start talking to them. I try to, kind of build rapport, get them excited, get them happy, let their guard down. And then especially if I'm shooting lifestyle, make them laugh. Just get them silly, make them joke around, laugh, kind of flirt with each other, doing silly things, throw in a prop. We often use anything from like guitars to to old vintage cars, for instance, that are, we have an epic workshop coming up that's going to be with in Chicago. And we're going to be shooting with an epic vintage vehicle. So, we're going to, like, for instance, we shoot with vintage vehicles all the time, and it kind of adds to kind of the scenarios. You can see here's like some imagery shot at our Newport Beach workshop, where we're able to show a multiple model scene and have the models interact within that vehicle. So there's a lot of different ways we can do it. But for me, it's all about coaching, making sure that, they feel completely invigorated and alive and excited, and not just like, hey, go stand over there, let me shoot. We want to make sure that we can coach them into the right scenario. All right. And by the way, when you guys post your question, let me know a little bit about who you are. Tell me where you're from. By the way, here I'm actually broadcasting from my office here in Hermosa Beach. In fact, we just did an epic Elite Masterclass workshop here. In fact, Adam attended that, and we shot at my neighbor's house. Is a $16 million mansion estate that's like 3 feet from my window here at our November workshop. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of where I'm located, I'm right here in LA in the heart of things. So tell me about where you're from. Even if it's a rural area, we'd love to hear. Okay, so I'm going to take another question here from Lori Pearson. I'm just starting out as a photographer. How many images should you have in your portfolio? And should there be a series of stories? This is an excellent question. I get this question a lot. And for instance, when we're dealing with portfolios, the rule of thumb is usually about 30 individual images from different scenes in your portfolio. And what I mean by that is we don't want, like, say 3, 4, or 5 images from the same wardrobe change. So with the same models wearing the same outfit, we don't want that in an image, in a portfolio, because it's just too much. So, even these images, they're pretty different, but they are wearing the same wardrobe. So I'd be careful about something like that. Whereas, if we are going with something like this, in my portfolio, it's very carefully curated so that each scene is completely different than the next as far as wardrobe change. So I'm going to be showing here. I'm going to share to give you guys an example. So if we're talking about lifestyle images, each scene is very different. It has different styling. It has a different wardrobe, different models, etc. So same thing goes with fashion. I like to have, now you can do a series of stories if you are shooting fashion editorial. So for instance, the first image here was shot in Istanbul with a supermodel for a major fashion magazine editorial. But as you go forward, you see these images that all kind of correlate with a story. And this is a Mad Men story that all correlate in a story together. Now, since each scene has different wardrobe change, this works. And in fact, we're actually going to be doing something like this at our upcoming workshop in Chicago. We're going to have like a Mad Men based fashion editorial story. So if you guys are interested in any of that vintage feel, we're going to be bringing in a vintage vehicle. I think we're going to have, I believe, a 1960s Shelby Cobra convertible, which actually is seen here in this image. But shooting a series of images that kind of correlate together in what we call a cohesive portfolio, so all the images work well together, I think is really, really important. cohesion. But remember, your portfolio is only as strong as your weakest image. So if you have, say 30 images and you want to reach that number, but only like maybe 15 of them are amazing, only put 15 in your portfolio. Don't fill it with a bunch of other crap. You want to make sure that it's only the best of the best. Now I have to warn you though, at our workshops, what happens is our photographers generally shoot the greatest images they've ever shot in their lifetime, and they go back and they put them in their portfolio and they try to make it work with all the rest of the images in their portfolio. And they're so much better what we shoot with these supermodels that sometimes it kind of blows away everything else that they've ever shot before. And that kind of becomes a problem. So now they have to build images at that same level because we want to make sure it's at that same unbelievable level. Hopefully that answers the question, Lori.
Kevin, there's a couple of questions in the chat area, one from Jared and one from Patrick. You might want to look at those. There's two really good questions on there.
Excellent. Okay, so thank you, Reza. So this is Jarrett. There's a price for these workshops. What is the return on investment? Nobody, not one person, agency, SEO management, influencer agency can explain and put value on timeline to see what the return on these investments are. Okay, that's a really, really good question. And you know what? I would love for that to be addressed to our returning photographers. So Adam, why don't you take this question, because you're somebody that has attended these workshops, and it sounds like you've seen the ROI on these.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of those things that is difficult to measure because you don't know what's directly coming from where. But I can tell you that since starting to work with Kevin, and let's say that I've spent $25,000, I'm going to use that as a number, working with Kevin over the time I've been working with him, I've probably seen it, or I actually have seen an increase in my income by 60 to 70%. And for me, that's a substantial amount of money. I didn't, unless you want to really go into what I make every year, but it's a substantial amount of money, far more than I've ever spent working with Kevin. The difference is I'm now able to get into clients that I was never able to get into before. And also going back to my own clients, I just raised the prices and figuring that some of them would say, yeah, no, we're going to go with somebody else. We're going to go with someone who's a lot less expensive. We don't really need nobody said that. I was actually hoping some people would say, we're going to go somewhere else now. We're not going to continue to, or we don't want to pay the higher rate. Nah, it was, oh, sure, that's okay. We see the quality in the work. We trust what you're doing. So yes, in a specific dollar, I can't give you a 10%, a 20%, a 30%, 100% return on investment. I can just tell you that it's an ongoing return on investment. So it's not about, I spent $5,000 and I got back $25,000. It's, I spent $5,000 and up my income by 20 to 30 to 40 to 50%, which is several $100,000. So it really, it's to give you an exact percentage. I can't do that. I can tell you for me, it's also about what you put into it too. If you go to a workshop and you come back with these amazing images, and I'm going to tell you now, they're going to be the best images you've ever shot. And when Kevin said that to me, I was like, nah, I've shot some great stuff. Well, they're the best images that I've ever shot. So coming back, I put that stuff to work. I took everything I've learned at the workshops, every image I've taken at the workshops. Kevin will tell you that if there's something I don't know or I don't understand, I will leave there knowing and understanding it because I'm not going to let information get by me. If you go to a workshop like this and you just sit in a corner and shoot with Kevin will know what I'm talking about. Standing in a corner, shooting with a giantly long lens and hiding away and not getting involved, you're going to leave with good images. But if you don't put the stuff to work, you don't make any money. Your return on investment is zero. You've got to take what you get from these and go out and use it and actually make the phone calls. You know, I spent, when people tell me, oh, your job must be amazing, you've got a camera in your hand all the time. I think I've got a camera in my hand 20% of the time. About 80% of my time is marketing myself, improving my skills, getting these images out there for people to see, spending time talking to Kevin with how to get these images out for people to see, working on proposals and finding out how to bid jobs like Chad was talking about, learning how to actually bid a job when, you know, I'm out there fumbling with, oh my God, you know, should I really be charging this much to do this? And then going, yeah, I should be charging this much to do this. And all I deserve this for doing this. So it's, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. So for me, it was getting to the point where I'd said to myself, okay, I've hit a wall where I'm not getting to the next level. But, you know, to address your question directly, it's what you do with the materials and the information you get that's really going to calculate your return on investment, or really going to show your return on investment. Because if you go to a workshop and you do nothing with the information you've received, and you do nothing with the images that you've shot, there will be no return on investment. You've got to actually take this material and take this information and use it. And one of the things, Kevin, real quick, one of the things that Kevin's photographic consultants do, and that Kevin does, is he holds you accountable. You know, I left the workshop, and 2 days later, I got text messages and phone calls from Kevin saying, when are we going to review your images? What's your marketing plan for 2020? Can I see your marketing plan for 2020? This is an interesting marketing plan, but can I show you some things you need to change in your marketing plan for 2020? So be prepared that if you get involved in this, it's a long game. It's not a short game. It's not, I went to a workshop, I spent this money, and all of a sudden I made this money. It's building relationships. It's learning how to market yourself. It's taking that business plan and actually putting it to use. Part of my background is marketing. I've worked for major corporations like Lexus, like John Hancock Insurance Company. In my early career, I was paid to go and teach sales for them, and guest lecture for them. So in doing so, one of the things I always preached was 10-3-1, 10 calls, 3 people answer, 1 appointment. You know, how many calls does it take to get somebody to answer a phone? It could be 100 calls. So really, you have to figure out and make commitments to do these things. And you have to have a plan. And it's the same for photographers. You know, we're notorious as photographers to think that we're artists and go, hey, you know what? I took these amazing images. Now all this work's just going to come my way. I see Chad going, oh yeah.
Yep.
It's, if you don't have this plan, you fail. You know, what is that cliche that people always say? You don't plan to fail, you fail to plan. And then taking the plan, using the plan, and it doesn't matter whether you're a wedding photographer, whether you're a videographer, or whether you're a lifestyle photographer, you've got to have a plan, and you have to break that plan down into things that are actually things that you can actually do. You know, I had somebody sit in front of me and say, I'm going to make 1,000 phone calls this week. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to make 20, and you're going to be so discouraged after making that 20, you're not going to make the other 980. Let's pick a number that you can actually work with, and build up to make these phone calls, or to go on the internet and find who to talk to. I mean, I spend hundreds of hours looking up who to talk to at companies, and finding out who to reach out to, and then reaching out to them, and then following up with them. And then, I mean, one of the things Kevin and I spend a lot of times talking about is implementing these plans, and creating an action item list, and checking things off that list, not just creating a list. So, and then like Chad said, learning how to bid a job. I mean, it's great when someone says, hey, you know what? I love what you're doing. You know, send me a treatment and send me a bid. And you're like, okay, Kevin, what do I do now?
You guys can call me, and I'm here to help you. And that's actually another thing we're going to talk about at a later webinar, specifically what happens when we get called in to bid on the campaign, and how to obtain representation and all of that. So thank you, Adam. That's an excellent, excellent answer to that. Now we have a bunch of other questions here, so I want to make sure that we get to them. And I'm going to try to do them in order. We have a question posed from Patrick Atuso. Thank you, Dr. O. You're amazing. By the way, his wonderful daughter, Cynthia, she attended our Miami Beach workshop and our New York workshop. And she shot such incredible work that she was able to create just a mind-blowing portfolio that really catapulted her to the next level. And I was really, really proud of what we created together at those workshops. And she had immediate success. In fact, what I was really most impressed at is just from one workshop. And let me pull this up. I believe we have it on our website. Cynthia was able to get published it was her first publication, and this was in Cool America magazine, a nationally published magazine editorial. And Cynthia was able to get published in the magazine. It was really, really special to see that. Here are some of the images shot at our Miami Beach workshop that she attended, and images that got featured in the article. So I was super proud of Cynthia. Now, the question was, what do we do when we're stuck in a 9-to-5 kind of like 5-day-a-week photographic job? Because this was the challenge that Cynthia ran into. What happens when you're stuck? You got benefits, it's a regular job, you're essentially an in-house photographer or assistant photographer, and it's steady. You know, it's a little scary to go out there on your own and be, you know, a photographer that's completely independent and have your own business. I mean, this is not easy to do because we are business owners, essentially. We're small business owners, right? We're not just, you know, being called every day to go shoot. We have to market ourselves. We have to brand ourselves. So with somebody like Cynthia, what I recommend is take the imagery that she has created, her mind-blowing imagery she's created from the workshops, add to it, because she was able to build the best body of work she had ever shot in her life in fashion. She shot in New York with us with supermodels and some of them in Vogue. She was then able to go and attend the Miami Beach workshop and shoot the greatest images of her life down there in Miami, which was absolutely spectacular. But now, even though that's a cornerstone to her body of work, well, I was really pleased that that she just enrolled in this, and I believe Cynthia is coming to both Miami Beach and the New York workshop this coming year, and likely the Elite Masterclass. So I'm really, really excited about that. I think that you know, you're an absolute superstar, Cynthia. I want to make sure that you don't get just stuck. I don't want you to get stuck. I don't want you to feel like, you know what, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be stuck just being an assistant of another photographer and making crap money and being taken advantage of. I want you to go out there and do this at the highest level of your potential, because I know that you can. You have amazing potential. Cynthia is an incredibly talented photographer, and it was proof right there with her publications. And you guys can see right here, this is video from our Miami Beach workshop a few months ago. Cynthia, I also recommend, and all the other photographers out there, that you build a really powerful video reel, because as photographers, we're now asked to do video as well. And this is a huge benefit because video production budgets are much higher than photography budgets. So if you can land both the photography section and the video section, you can end up earning substantially more money and become more of a director and photographer rather than just a still photographer. And because a lot of times, you know, the client, for instance, like Pepsi is shooting a big campaign, they're going to be not just filming it, you know, and they're going to hire a whole commercial crew. They're going to hire a photography crew. Why not you handle both? So I think that, Cynthia, you're right on the right track. You're going to develop and essentially double the size of your portfolio this year with the upcoming workshops that you're enrolled in right now. And by the way, I know Miami's almost sold out. And so is Newport Beach, and Chicago, I think, might be completely full. These are all, they get sold out every year. And I want to make sure that you guys, if you are interested in attending, let us know ASAP, because we want to hold your spot, because they are extremely popular. And as these guys know, Chad and Adam, you know, once they get sold out, that's it. And they're totally full. I believe this video playing here was the workshop that Cynthia attended. And the video content we shot was in 4K with high-end RED cameras. We shot with sliders and gimbals, as well as an aerial drone. And the content right now she's using on her website to promote herself. And I recommend using as much of that content as possible, because when you attend the workshop, you walk away with a world-class photographic reel and world-class photographic portfolio and a high-end video reel, all in 4K. And this is something because we really, really recommend that we do both, not just photography, but we're doing video as well. And we're going to be shooting, for instance, in Miami with underwater cameras, professional underwater camera bodies, on the ground and aerial, and it's going to be absolutely epic. So, all right, let's answer another question. We have one from Deanna Treviso. I've been doing weddings for 10 years now and so struggling to get the higher paying brides. How would you recommend doing that? I want to first push this question over to Chad Chisholm. Chad, you know, I know that you and I talked the other day, and you were booked as a photographer for, was a $1.8 million wedding.
Yep.
And this was in Colorado. And you as a photographer, I think you undersold yourself, but I think you made like $15,000 off that wedding. So imagine, Deanna, and if you want to put this in the chat, why don't you put this in your chat, Deanna, as far as what your wedding rates are? I'd like to know. And Chad, why don't you go ahead and answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, we did a little more than that, Kevin. So I wasn't so far off that one. But yes, I did totally underbid myself, because typically for wedding photographers, we should be making about 10% of the entire wedding to accurately shoot the space, capture the experience. So I had to also have several other photographers on site, video team. So to kind of up your game in wedding, and I don't want to go too far into it because I know it's not as lifestyle, but I would start by not doing wedding shows. I would start by trying to create really great relationships with venues and other vendors who are also doing those larger events. Do your homework and find out who those people are. I know I get calls still now, even though I don't shoot weddings, and I used to do 15, 16 a year. And I still get calls from vendors and other venues that are like, hey, we know you don't even shoot weddings anymore. Who do you know that we can refer this bride off to? So I think those are really important things to do. And yeah, don't give things away. I see that with a lot of that kind of lower tier wedding photographer, is that they try to give themselves away and give away free images or give away free engagement shoots or give away. High-end brides aren't looking for that. They're not going to a wedding show. If you're really looking for the $1.8 million, I did a $1.6 million at another Colorado. We did one down in Miami. And it came right through the event planner that we had a relationship with. So I would suggest really dive into your community, know your craft really well. Like Kevin's saying, with your portfolio, get rid of the smaller backyard weddings or lower end weddings, because the brides are going to look at that and say, oh, this isn't the photographer for me, because I'm really looking for this bespoke experience.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, and you know what, Chad, you're a perfect person to give that advice, because Chad is actually one that is a photographer that's walked the walk. And I know I run into a lot of wedding photographers that are like, oh, you know, I'm only getting a couple thousand a wedding or whatever, and they're basically working for free. I don't want you working for free. Weddings are a lot of work. I mean, I don't want to do them. They're too much work for me. You know, you guys hustle, you wedding photographers, but it's, at the end of the day, a lot of wedding photographers are working for minimum wage.
I do want to mention how we use the wedding experience to pivot to our commercial experience, because I did get called for 3 different hotels looking to do a marketing shoot for their wedding. So we actually shot, it was $1 million shoot. We brought in $500,000 in jewelry. We brought in models from all over the nation, flew them out to California for an amazing resort. And it was a way for us to, quote unquote, shoot a wedding and do what we knew how to do without it being an actual wedding. So I think there are ways, if you really enjoy that, to still do the wedding side of things, but make it more of a commercial and advertising revenue stream for you.
You know what? And I have one more solution for you, Deanna. I want to show you what another photographer did, Veronica Jankowski. She is an amazing photographer in the New York area, took our New York workshop. And what Veronica did was she shot such epic imagery at the New York workshop. We were able to bring in top models and shoot with dresses that looked like wedding dresses. And this was epic. We shot at this castle that was designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. We shot with models that had been in vogue. We had these unbelievable wardrobe, these dresses. Some of them were like $10,000, $15,000 dresses. So she was able to utilize these images, get them published in Vintage Magazine, and use these images to now book major weddings. So for something like that, I'd highly recommend you do something like this, utilizing the images that you do at the workshop, whether they're high-end fashion images, because remember, does a high-end client, you know, that's going to book you to do a $10,000 or $15,000 wedding, are they going to want just, you know, a wedding photographer that kind of dabbles in fashion photography? Or are they going to want a world-class fashion photographer that shoots in New York with top models from Vogue that happens to also shoot weddings? Well, I think you know the answer to that. So we can help brand you to do such a thing. And I think that that's going to be the next step for you. And I highly, highly recommend it. So, all right, I want to take another question here. This one is from Mark Laurie. Now, my niche is high-end commissioned nude boudoir portraits of women for themselves. This may be out of the box for this conversation, but are there agents for this niche? He says Mark is from Calgary, Canada, and doing this for 40 years. He's like essentially teaches his craft and looking to set up a business in the US for portrait nude work and teaching. Okay, so great question, Mark. We get a lot of photographers that ask this. Now, I have to tell you, this is not an industry. Shooting essentially nude and boudoir stuff, it's not really an industry anymore. It used to be back in the day, back in the days of, when Playboy was big and some of the more kind of, nude and boudoir kind of publications, but they've all died out. They've all gone bankrupt. And even Playboy has fallen apart, especially American Playboy. So really this isn't in an industry other than shooting and the consumer market. So no, there are no agents in this market whatsoever. And there's no money in this market whatsoever, with the exception of consumer clients. So if you work with women directly and can book with them, that's excellent. We've had some photographers that are very successful with that, that take our workshops. Namely, there's one named Ashley Russ, who is an amazing photographer. She's taken a number of our workshops and she's utilized that heavily to market to her audience, has made a tremendous income from that. So I also recommend, if you're interested in this, attend the Miami Beach workshop, because at the Miami Beach workshop, we're going to be working with Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. We're going to be, for instance, at the last Miami workshop, we shot with models like Miss Brazil that's here on the screen. We worked with models from Sports Illustrated, from the Guess campaigns, and we shot with even the girl that was a cover of Playboy Mexico, this one, Haley Maxfield. So if you're interested in taking your business to the next level, especially in America, I highly, highly recommend the Miami Beach workshop, because it's going to be the most perfect one for you. And for those of you guys who want to build lifestyle photography, we also have a lifestyle section of the Miami Beach workshop as well, and doing resort lifestyle, which Chad attended last year, and it completely catapulted his hospitality and resort lifestyle imagery to the next level. So, so that was pretty exciting. All right, so let me answer, let's see, we have a few more questions in the Q&A. We have, let's see, from Jim Escalante. He is from Madison, Wisconsin, and he mentions your portfolio. Do you keep one with actual prints as well as an online on a mobile device? Thanks to the webinar. Okay, so great question. We get a lot of lazy photographers out there that just want to show their stuff on a website. That's not going to cut it. I'm sorry. It's great for maybe the consumer industry where people are, they're viewing your stuff online and maybe they're giving you a call or whatever to book a portrait shoot or wedding shoot. But even if you're a portrait and wedding photographer, to book the high-end clientele, I want you guys to build a printed portfolio. This is absolutely key and critical. This is something we're going to teach you in depth at the upcoming workshops, for instance, in Miami and at Newport Beach. We're going to talk about building that printed portfolio. Me personally, I have a brushed metal portfolio, and it actually has a print that's printed directly on the metal. So it has this like metallic finish. It's absolutely incredible. And I recommend it. And you know what? When I bring my portfolio, my printed portfolio in to a meeting, I showcase it to the ad agencies and they flip. They get so excited. I've had ad agencies, for instance, the senior art producer at TBWA Chiat Day, which is one of the biggest ad agencies in the world here in Los Angeles. I brought my master printed portfolio in, as 11 by 14 portfolio with brushed metal printed directly on the front of the metal. And she was like, I need to get to know where you printed this. This is amazing. I want to present our ad agency work with portfolios like this to our clients. Okay, so I left an impact. She remembered me because of my portfolio. And remember, the website and phone calls and email marketing and LinkedIn messaging and all the marketing we're going to do is just for us to get that meeting with the ad agency in person with the senior art producer or the creative director, or if you're meeting with a consumer client and you're meeting about a wedding, you got to have that printed wedding album to show them. It's absolutely critical to land big jobs. Definitely want to have a printed portfolio. I also have one on my iPad. I also have, I keep it on my iPhone, and then I also have multiple portfolios. So that's one thing I recommend is don't just be a jack of all trades, master of none. This is something I've had to coach a number of you guys out there. I want you to be a specialist in each specific photographic genre that you shoot. It is absolutely vital. And if you want to see what I'm discussing more clearly, I'm going to talk about my own personal portfolios. I have a number of them. So if you take a look, for instance, at this is my portfolio for my video production. This is actually for television shows, InstaFamous. And you can take a look. This is essentially our my reel for my television shows. This is Great Escapes, the TV show that airs on NBC and CW that I was the host and director and producer of. And I'm going to have this as one of my brands. But this is a very separate brand from everything else that I do. This is going to be showcasing my TV brand.
Models versus Instagram models that really think they're models but just have millions of followers. They're going to be competing for major modeling contracts. America's Next Top Model meets Great Escape. Traveling to the most epic destinations in the world like Bora Bora, the Maldives, Abu Dhabi, and we're going to be doing massive scale fashion productions. After posting one of our Bora Bora videos, we've hit 37 million viewers.
And by the way, about half of the content in this reel, this is a trailer, about half of the content was filmed during our workshops in Chicago, Miami Beach, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York.
That kind of goes back to the return on investment question from earlier. Kevin and I just visited about this. I'm currently working on my sizzle reel similar to this to help present to clients, and the content came from those 3 workshops that I went to. So another value add for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then you can also see, guys, this is my lifestyle brand, KevinMichaelSchmitz.com. This is my fashion brand, KevinSchmitz.com. Completely different photographer. You don't even know I'm the same person. Completely different brand. And then you can also take a look at Atreyu Productions. This is my television commercials. So if you want to take a look at my television commercials and commercial spots, I should say, then you can take a look at what we shoot here. And you can watch, these are commercial spots. In fact, these were filmed in Newport Beach with essentially the same look and feel of what we're going to be doing in May in Newport Beach. We're going to be doing something here also with actually probably using some of these identical locations, even some of these top tier models that we filmed with this $100,000 budget for the web commercial and broadcast commercial that we did that I filmed. We're going to be doing something just like this with this look and feel, this lifestyle body of work. And I'd recommend you have this kind of content. These are the actual commercials for the client. I have the 2-minute version, and then I also have 4 30-second versions, but I recommend showcasing this as well. All right, I'm gonna take another question. This is from Jeffrey Clark Grossman. Thanks, Jeffrey, for joining us. You're a past attendee. Jeffrey attended the Elite Masterclass, the one that Adam attended. He shot with that epic parachute and shot incredible content, and also here in Hermosa Beach, right in front of my office window right here. And he says, the Elite Masterclass was epic, and I'm looking forward to attend the Miami workshop. I get emails from the One Island. I think he's referring to the One Island Award won by Adam Friedman. And he says, may I submit images from their, from the workshop that they were in. So Adam, why don't you tell, because you have experience with the One Island Award submission process. Can you answer that question?
Yeah, there are a lot of different awards out there, not just One Island, but with the One Island, it's closed for this year. It won't, the next time that it's going to come around is the end of next year, but there's different types of submissions for industry awards like One Island. You get the One Island Awards, you get Addy Awards. There's tons of them out there, and you always want to submit your newest work when you do it. And what they're looking for is things that are original, things that are marketable. The one thing One Island does, because when you are an award winner, they do send your work out to all of these all these executives and all the decision makers. And Kevin, this actually gets me back to another point. One of the things that One Island does is you choose your categories, whether the work was professional work or whether it was work on your own, or what I call self-assigned work, or self-assigned assignment. And why that's important is one of the things I found in talking to reps and agents was they were not very impressed when they thought work was professional work, because in the back of their mind, it doesn't tell them who I am as a creative. It didn't tell them, this is who Adam is, this is how he sees, this is what he builds. So it's very important to take pride in the work that you do personally. And from the workshop work, I've always listed that as personal work, not work that I'm out there trying, or work that I did as work for hire for somebody else. Because what companies really want to know is they want to know who you are and how you see. And the only way they can find that out is through your own work, through the work that you do that shows them how you see and how you go about building a project and bringing it to life. And whether do you like to backlight your images? Do you like lens flare? Are your images super contrasty? How do you see? What is it you like to produce? And they want to know who you are as a photographer, and that's how they develop that relationship with you and then start hiring you for a lot of work, because you become their go-to person for that kind of work. And Jeff, to answer your question, to submit to One Island and all these awards, you join. There is a fee to join, and when you submit to most of these awards, you're going to pay to submit your work, and you want to pick your best work when you submit it. It's always good to get somebody else to look at the work, because what I've found is that no matter what I think is the best image I shoot for a magazine, they never pick that image. They always pick the one that I'm sitting there looking at it going, why did you pick that one? That's not my favorite image. But there's images for photographers, there's images for models, there are images for art directors or creatives, there's images for the magazines themselves, and it's not always the same image. I guarantee you, if I took 5 images that say Chad, Kevin, and I had shot together, we'd each pick a different image as our favorite, and the one that we wanted to use. So it's really good to get somebody else to look at that work, to give you their opinion. Otherwise, you're going to submit your favorite 10 images. Also, don't get discouraged if your work's not accepted. It doesn't mean it wasn't good. It just means it wasn't what they were looking for at that particular moment. So don't let that beat you down. I mean, a lot of photographers get really discouraged when work that they've worked so hard on, or work that they feel so proud of, doesn't get selected. And then all of a sudden an image gets selected and you go, oh, why'd they select that one? I don't even know why they picked that one. I don't even like that image, but that's what it's all about. And Jeff, I'll spend some time with you. We can talk offline about how to get work submitted and also some of the different groups you can submit to, because there are some that are excellent and they're going to push your work out there, and there's some that really don't make an impact in your career at all.
Excellent. That's a great answer, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
from Adam Friedman, an award-winning photographer. By the way, I wanted to throw this out there. Here, I have one of my portfolios here. This is a brushed metal 11 by 14 inch portfolio. Here, I'll go big here so you guys can see this. But essentially, this is what one of my master portfolios looks like. In fact, this image right here was actually shot during our Miami Beach workshop. This was, and you can kind of see, we'll have pages of the epic imagery. So we have some, essentially I have, these are plastic pages. They're 11 by 14. We have a slide-in prints. I typically print these on luster paper and slide them in. So this would be one of my lifestyle portfolios. So that would be something I would highly recommend. Okay, let's answer a few more questions here. Mark Laurie, he's asking, he's saying that he shoots for consumer clients, and then asking, are there agents for the high-end consumer market? There are not, that I'm aware of, any agents for the high-end consumer market. Although that actually would be an interesting business if somebody started that. But there's just not enough money in consumer photography compared to commercial photography. So, just to give you guys an idea out there, I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with consumer versus commercial, but consumer is you're photographing for an individual. So you're photographing their portrait, their family portrait, even headshots, even model portfolios is essentially not really commercial. You're really shooting for the person. But consumer photography is generally considered portraiture and weddings. And baby pictures and such. Now, weddings are obviously on the higher tier of consumer photography. Guys like Chad can be making $10, $12, $15,000, $20,000 for a wedding. I recommend if you guys are charging like $2,000 a wedding, like Deanna, you mentioned your prices here online, way too low. And if you say, Kevin, well, it's only what my market in my area will tolerate. Well, you don't have to go to your market. We have, for instance, Chad, he lives in the Denver, Colorado area, but he just did that $15,000 wedding out in Aspen. And, it's a few hours away, but, it's worth it. There are, even if you have to fly somewhere, so depending on where you are, but I mean, you can do travel weddings, destination weddings, you can do weddings in big cities. There's always going to be pockets of wealthy people. But definitely if, in commercial photography, that's something that when you come to the workshops, the imagery and the video you create is actually helpful for both consumer and commercial. But it even gives you the opportunity, if you want to be a successful commercial photographer and do something that Chad Chisholm did, where he essentially transcended from consumer photography into just commercial photography. It's very doable with the imagery and the video that we shoot at the workshops because the caliber is so high end. It's so over the top, the production value. But the challenge is that clients, they're going to want to see big brands, big names. They're going to want to see top tier models, top tier stylists and production. And if you don't have that in your portfolio, they're probably not going to book you. And remember, your work is only as strong as the weakest image in your portfolio. So you've got to make sure you have 30 individually styled scenes. So each scene has to be from different styling, different, whole production has to be different style for each different scene in your portfolio. And we need to have that world-class book. That's why the workshop series is so beneficial, because you'll walk away with essentially a 10 to 15 page editorial from each shoot day. So you could essentially walk away with 30 pages of portfolio imagery from a workshop. And that's why it's a way for you to just catapult at a really inexpensive way to do it. So that's one thing. Now, if you want to be represented by an agent, photography reps only represent 1/1000th of 1% of photographers. So it's like winning the lottery or going pro in the NFL. It's actually harder than going pro in the NFL. There are far more NFL players out there than represented photographers. So if you want to be a represented photographer, there's some serious competition, but coming from somebody who's been repped by 4 different agents, I can coach you through how to actually obtain representation. It's not easy, but I have a tried and true method that can get you represented if you can build the work and sustain all the strategies that we talked with you about at the workshops. That's something, and we're going to talk about that in depth at a later webinar. Okay, so I want to get to some of our last questions. We had, let's see, we had some messages from, let's see, Sandra Lee. Hopefully she's still on. She's from Michigan. Sandra, I know we've spoken over the years. And like she says, how do we find the right person at corporations to sell ourselves to? Now, from what I remember, Sandra, I think you mentioned you're a wedding photographer. And we spoke, a while back, but you haven't attended the workshop yet. So the thing is without the world-class commercial grade imagery in your portfolio, it's going to be really hard to sell your images and your body of work to corporations without that imagery. If you just have wedding pictures or local Michigan photographs, even if it is commercial photography, it's not going to be at the same scale as what we could get in Los Angeles at our Elite Masterclass, or in New York with top supermodels, or in Chicago shooting our vintage Mad Men story, or in Miami Beach or Newport Beach. So what I would highly recommend is for you to finally attend one of the workshops you've been talking about for a long time. I know many of you guys have been following us for years and just never actually pulled the trigger. It's going to just cost you money. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just the longer you wait and just keep doing what you're doing, the more money it's going to cost you in missed opportunity cost. And that's something that it's hard to calculate, but essentially if you only see, you know, your income in photography either flatlining or going up maybe 10% a year, well, it means you're losing money. Because instead, if you did something like Adam Friedman did, and he's talking like based upon after the imagery, he's already upped his revenue by 50, 60%. Well, if he didn't do that, if he didn't do the workshops and didn't have the content in there, he'd be losing money, you know? And I don't want you guys to miss out on that opportunity. I want you as photographers to be making more money, to be more successful, and to be completely crushing it in this industry.
The business day helped out tremendously for me. It showed me how to bill or what things I could bill for. There were things I wasn't billing for that I had no idea that I should have been billing for. And I just started adding them all into every bill. And nobody said no.
I want to piggyback off of what you originally were talking about, Kevin, too, about even if you got to the person at the corporation who is making that decision and you don't have the portfolio. I had that happen to me with a very, very top tier advertising agency very early in my career, way before Kevin Michael Schmitz. And I got in there, I got in front of all of the art directors and I showed the work that I thought was top tier, awesome caliber, and I totally blew my shot with all of these really amazing companies. So I think to Kevin's point, having the body of work that is of that echelon, when you do have those once in a lifetime opportunities with a corporation, with an advertising agency, with a photography agent, and you have put the horse in front of the cart, you're much more able to succeed.
Perfect. Yeah. And you know what, Chad, thank you for sharing that. Finding the right decision maker is key. And that's something at the Business Essentials Day at the workshop, for instance, in Miami Beach on April 22nd. We're going to specifically discuss connecting with the decision makers, finding that exact decision maker that's going to hire you for that job, and how to market to them personally. There's a whole step-by-step process. It's very intensive and does take some legwork. But also really important to build your brand and to build that world-class body of work and that amazing photographic currency, so that when you walk in and you meet with that advertising agency or that corporation to work with them directly, that you feel prepared and they are going to just completely warm up to you and be excited to work with you and book you. So that's something that I really look forward to working with you, Sandra, and I can't wait to see you at the next workshop. So I got another really great question here. This is from Lori Pearson. She says, is there prep work required to qualify to attend a workshop? And is there a specific list of equipment needed to attend? This is an excellent question. So Lori, we're very selective about who attends these workshops. Since I've been doing this a long time and I'm super busy, I'm filming television shows, I'm filming commercials, I'm shooting large scale advertising campaigns, I'm busy. So for me, I want to make sure that when I'm directing these workshops, it's going to be worth my time to be able to work with photographers that are serious about photography. I don't want people that are going to be disruptive. I don't want people that are difficult. I don't want people hassling other photographers or shooting over their shoulders. I want photographers that are really easy to work with and good team players. For instance, Chad and Adam are some of the most excellent attendees, absolute blessings to have on set. And I'd be thrilled, Lori, for you to meet and to work with them at upcoming workshops, because they're really wonderful to work with. It's a very collaborative approach, and it's going to be really, really easy to work with. I'm very selective about choosing the photographers. But what we do is essentially, I'm going to have you set up a consult with one of our photographic consultants, and we'll send you an invite to invite. And I'd love for you to speak to one of our photographic consultants. And they'll talk with you and get to know you, and they'll qualify you to see, to share with you if they feel like you are a good fit for the workshops. If you are, we would love to get you in, and essentially, you don't really need much to attend as far as equipment. We recommend you bring a camera, and that's it. We take care of everything else. You show up. We have a massive scale production. We have an entire set. We bring in about $100,000 worth of high-end location lighting equipment from ProPhoto. We have extra cameras if you need one. We do have photographers that, maybe they're shooting with an older camera, or they want to try something new, or they don't have a professional camera. I have plenty. You can shoot with one of my Canon 5D Mark IV 30 megapixel cameras that also films in 4K. You don't need much. You can shoot with any type of camera, from Canon, Nikon to Panasonic, and anything you want. It doesn't really matter what brand. I just recommend, as far as lenses are concerned, these guys know about this because a lot of photographers, they come to our workshops. This is a big hit in my face. Like, I had no idea that you could shoot like this with this type of lens. But I recommend 3 lenses for the workshops. I recommend a 16 to 35 millimeter L. I recommend or something similar, a 24 to 70, which is kind of my bread and butter lens, especially when it comes to fashion. And the 70 to 200 millimeter lens, which is also great in fashion, is another great lens to have in my kit. Now, I'm generally going to use 16 to 35 for almost all my lifestyle work, almost without question. My 24 to 70, I'm going to use for fashion and also for video, and 70 to 200 for sure for video, once in a while for fashion, and definitely for swim. So it depends on which workshop you're attending, which shoot day is going to be different. But if you don't have any of these lenses, we can supply them. We bring all high-end camera lenses and cameras on set. We have everything provided. We provide lunch, snacks, beverages. I bring in high-end caterers and chefs that provide amazing food, world-class production. And I usually have 3 to 4 full-time assistants that are going to be waiting on you hand and foot, making sure every aspect of the production and all the lighting is perfect. So all you need to do is show up, and you get to command a set, just like you walk on set, like you're, Annie Leibovitz commanding a production. We want you to come in and have that level of experience, because that's important to me, that you can command a set and art direct and shoot the greatest images of your lifetime. So, all right. Are there any other questions? Please feel free, because we're coming to an end here to close this. So I want you guys to ask any last questions that you might have. And I would love to also direct you guys right now to get involved with some of our upcoming workshops. I want to showcase our next workshop is in Miami Beach, and it's a 3-day seminar, April 22nd, April 23rd, and 24th. The first day is the Essentials Day. So we're going to be focused on business side of photography, marketing, connecting with decision makers, getting represented by a photography agent, how to connect with people right now in 2020, because things change all the time. So what's happening right now in marketing and being able to connect with those decision makers? What do we need in our portfolio? How do we develop that printed portfolio, that web portfolio? And then also we're going to bring in panelists. So for instance, at the Miami Beach workshop, for instance, that Chad attended, he was able to meet an executive creative director at Sapient Razorfish, which is a major ad agency in Miami Beach. And he was there discussing his latest $750,000 ad campaign that he booked Dave Hill on for a major campaign for Chrysler, a lifestyle shoot for Chrysler. So it's basically a lifestyle shoot with a family and a van. And he was there discussing it. So it was a great person for you to meet and connect with. At the Elite Masterclass that Adam just attended, we brought in a whole series of world-class photography agents, such as JP Reps. For instance, if you guys want to take a look at JP Reps, this is actually, he used to represent me, but he's one of the top tier photography reps in Los Angeles, and reps major photographers that shoot for Harper's Bazaar and Vogue. We had major panelists that we had magazine photo editors from Emmy Magazine, so the Emmy Awards, from Treats Magazine, which is a fine art nude magazine. We had creative directors. We even had publicists that attend. So it's a pretty exceptional experience just on day one. This is all to prepare you for day two. Now, day two is going to be shot on location. Now, in our past workshops in Miami Beach, we've shot at the Setai Miami Beach, which is about an $800 a night hotel, ultra luxury resort in Miami. It was unbelievable. We've shot at the SLS Miami, which was last, 2 years ago. We've done the Fontainebleau, the Four Seasons. We shot at the Nobu Eden Rock. And then last year we did it at a mansion in Key Largo, owned by one of the largest modeling agencies in Miami. And it was absolutely exceptional. So the locations are out of this world. The models are mind-blowing. So we work with models that have been in Sports Illustrated, the cover of Playboy, guest models. I mean, world-class swim models and advertising models. These are top tier talent that is going to be really hard for you guys to book on your own without spending, you know, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a model per shoot day because of the level of quality of who they are. But because of my relationships, I'm able to give that opportunity to you and have you walk on set and shoot with some of the greatest models in the world. So that's going to be on day 2 is going to be we're going to be shooting an absolutely epic lifestyle resort advertising shoot, just like you see here in this video. And you're going to be photographing and filming with high-end 4K cameras, with an aerial drone, with underwater cameras, and with a gimbal and a slider. So this is a really epic opportunity to build your printed portfolio and your video reel, and to command a set and to shoot like a 10 to 15 page resort lifestyle editorial. All of that's just day 2. Now, day 3, we're going to be walking on set on April 24th, shooting our swim day. And this is with top tier swim models from like Sports Illustrated, world-class production, and shooting an epic 15-page swim editorial. Last year, I think we shot so many scenes, Chad, I couldn't even count. I think we ended up shooting like 16 scenes in one day, which was just
amazing.
I don't even think we've ever done that before, but it was amazing. I mean, we're lucky to get 5 or 6 in a day, and we shot 16 scenes in a day. So the extent of the body of work of swim was amazing. And Chad's not even a swim photographer. He's a lifestyle photographer. But some of the imagery that he shot was so amazing that it boded well for even his resort lifestyle stuff. And he was able to use it and also some for the video reel as well. So I'm super excited about that. And that's the swim workshop. This is sold out every year. I think there's a couple spots left. So if you guys want to attend, make sure to get involved. Let us know ASAP so we can make sure to get you in one of those last spots in Miami. Then the next workshop that I recommend you guys also get involved with is Newport Beach. This is Newport Beach, California. We usually shoot at a $16 million mansion in Newport Beach in Laguna Niguel, and we're shooting all lifestyle. So essentially, we're going to be having another epic business day on business and marketing and strategizing and taking your career to the next level. But we're also going to be shooting on location in Newport Beach with vintage vehicles. And you can see kind of we've used some vintage vehicles, shoot some amazing sets and scenes, and getting that epic California lifestyle kind of story. This one was actually a lot of fun. We shot Newport Beach with the French Brigade with 5 French Bulldogs. And we also shot a scene, I think, with like stand-up paddle boards. It was amazing. With this yellow VW bus we have access to. And also we're going to bring in some mature models, different ages, and also different demographics and different ethnicities of models, because I think it's important in 2020 to make sure that we have really incredible diversity in our portfolio and have Latino models, African-American models, Caucasian, have a variety. I think that's very important. We're going to have a section just on lifestyle and a section on lifestyle with like health and wellness. And also we'll have a little bit of fitness as well, and also mature models creating that like kind of Pfizer campaign, the $200,000 pharmaceutical kind of advertising campaign. So these are all images shot at our past Newport Beach workshop. Highly recommend you guys get involved in this one. It's only $58.90 to do all 3 days of this one. So this one's going to be epic. I know, you know, a lot of our photographers just, they really, really want this lifestyle body of work because it's so key. I also want to share with you guys a Chicago workshop. This is going to be at the Vintage Mad Men story. If you can see, you know, these were actually, we shot this at our Chicago workshop a couple of years ago with this vintage red convertible, and actually shot this one in the rain, believe it or not, because we're going to shoot rain or shine. We're prepared, and we were able to shoot this epic production even in the rain. Typically, though, the weather's amazing there in June in Chicago on June 10th, 11th, and 12th. And we're going to be shooting this vintage epic story. I think we may even be bringing in another vintage car and airplane for this, like a we're talking about like a vintage airplane. I think maybe even a biplane for this one. So I'm super excited about that. This is our Chicago workshop, I believe last year, with that 1960 Shelby Cobra convertible. And then also here are some of the other ones we've done in the past. So we're going to have a whole lifestyle section on lifestyle, health, wellness, and like essentially a pharmaceutical ad campaign. The reason for this is Chicago is huge for the pharma industry. There's a whole series of ad agencies in Chicago, such as like Abelson Taylor and Arc Worldwide, that really cater to the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. And that's where I feel like a lot of this kind of stuff is absolutely key to add to your body of work as well. So this one is also for $58.90. I recommend. Chicago, though, maybe sold out. I'd have to talk with our team. And we might have one spot available, but I think that one's been sold out for a little while now. And then that brings us up to our New York workshop, which Adam attended twice already. And Adam got a chance to shoot epic stuff. In fact, although this is really beautiful here, I want to show you guys some of the aerial stuff that that Adam shot at this castle that we did last year. This was St. Josaphat's Monastery, and it was a castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. This is just an example of one of our locations. We have unreal location of the photography workshop series. We shot our Chicago workshop last year at a palace owned by the Countess of Poland. We have $16 million mansions on the beach in Hermosa Beach to Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Newport Beach, unreal locations. Anyway, this is another epic video shot that Adam did with the drone at the New York workshop. But the New York workshop's special because it goes right after New York Fashion Week. So all of the top fashion models are in town from Milan and Paris, and we get to shoot the best of the best talent. So last year we shot with models from Vogue, and the model, and also one of the girls just did the Versace campaign, and it was incredible. So the kind of talent that we're able to shoot in New York is just absolutely out of this world level of quality. So so that one's going to be incredible. And then the last workshop that we have scheduled for the year is what this all leads up to is our Elite Masterclass, which I know after taking, I know for instance Cynthia Atuso, after taking the Miami and the New York workshop, she's going to want to come to this masterclass because I know Adam attended this and he was able to win the One Island Award for top 10 fashion photographer in the United States with images shot at this Elite Masterclass that were just absolutely out of this world incredible. These are all images from the Elite Masterclasses in the past. We shot at LA Circus. We did this epic circus shoot with top models that these girls were also in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar. I think Scarlett Burke was also on the TV show Ray Donovan. And we also shot with like Huda Shreta, who's done Harper's Bazaar. And we have unbelievable production. This is a small little video you guys can see from our first Elite Masterclass. This is filmed by one of our directors who attended, shot with an Alexa camera, which is about $150,000 motion picture setup that he had here. And this one was over the top. So we recommend that anyone who attend our workshop at our Elite Masterclass has attended at least one or two main section workshops first before attending this one so that they can come prepared and showcase their body of work to our elite panel of 7 panelists. So make sure to attend, say, Miami and Newport Beach before attending the Elite Masterclass is what I'd highly, highly recommend because this one is so over the top and such high level production that I want to make sure that you guys are prepared and ready to go, especially when meeting those amazing decision makers. This is so over the top that you could see the level of production. This was shot at the U.S. Olympic Training Facility for Equestrian up in Thousand Oaks. And we shot with these $500,000 horses, and we actually shot this for Flaunt Magazine. So it was published in Flaunt Magazine and shot as an advertising campaign for the brand Gents. So it was pretty spectacular. All right, guys. So let's see. If there are no last questions, I want to leave it there. And I guess the very last thing that I want to know is what do you guys want to learn next? What type of concepts do you want to learn at our next webinar? Because we're going to start doing this regularly. And it looks like, and here are our poll results. It looks like most people want to attend the Miami Beach workshop and the Elite Masterclass. So you guys better sign up soon for that. So I want to, here I'm going to post right now a poll for essentially what do you guys want to learn at the next photography webinar with Photography Workshop Series and Kevin Michael Schmitz. We'll bring on amazing panelists as well. I also have some photography agents who are going to join us in the future that I've already been speaking to, and some other major decision makers as well as past photographers. Hope you guys have, found this enjoyable and learned something. But I want you guys to, tell me what you guys want to learn, because we can do this, whether it's location lighting with strobes, manipulation of natural light, setting up giant scrims and bounces, how to do that, camera techniques, learning about travel photography, posing models, how to get the best out of it, the most out of a model, art direction on a production, and how to produce a large-scale shoot. How do we even do these shoots and work with these world-class models? How do we even make that happen? And then also marketing strategies. It looks like many of you guys are actually writing in marketing strategies is probably one of the most important things that you guys want to learn. So really good to know. That's something that we can definitely touch on, because that's one of my absolute specialties is marketing and taking you guys to the next level so you can connect with decision makers and start booking jobs, because that's what this is all about. So excellent, guys. Thank you so much for attending this epic webinar. I'm really, really looking forward to working with each and every one of you guys. I strongly encourage you to set up a consult, a free 30-minute photographic consult with one of our photography consultants. We can strategize for your 2020 photographic business strategy plan and kind of figure out a game plan of what we can do next to make sure we can maximize your career. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This means a lot. Broadcast here from Hermosa Beach. I look forward to seeing you guys out here in sunny California, in Newport Beach, or down in Miami. And I can't wait to see you guys at the next webinar. But please get in touch, because these workshops are just about to sell out. Thank you so much. And I really look forward to making sure that you maximize your potential. So take care, guys. And please contact us with any more questions, additional questions or comments. If you're ready to sign up, contact us right away to make sure we can fill that spot. I'm also making sure you guys have our link here in the chat, photographyworkshopseries.com. And I want to make sure that you guys can have all of your questions answered, and we can make sure that we can make 2020 the most profitable, successful, and epic year yet. So take care, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.